everybody. How are you all doing this fine Monday afternoon? Hope everyone's doing well. Myself doing pretty good. This is just a quick little storytelling video for you guys today. The hubby and I did some small traveling over the weekend. Well, started, I guess you could say, actually Friday, so it started just before the weekend. And it was an experience and a half, let me tell you. So, start off the story and why we traveled. My husband's cousin, him and his wife got married back in July, I believe it was. It was either June or July. I believe it was in July was their wedding. It was just a very, very small, intimate wedding. Bride, the groom, best man, maid of honor, and it wasn't their siblings, considering the groom has one brother and he was his best man at the brother's wedding. And the bride has one sister, and I don't know if she's married or not. I think she is. And the one that just got married was the maid of honor, but nope, they had their best friends, their dog, a beach, and a minister. It was very, very small, very private, elegant, like beautiful for what we saw photos. Anyhow, a few months later, they want to have some alone private time. They haven't done their honeymoon yet, by the way. And then they want, get over that, like, oh my goodness, we did it shock kind of thing, and then have a reception and have time to save up and book it and arrange everything and then figure out who's all coming and all that fun stuff. So, you're going to watch my eyes. They're going to be kind of shooting across the board here because I got to pull up a map. We get the invite to go to the wedding. We give them confirmation that, yes, my husband and I were going. We thought our son, who is 24 years old, was also invited. Come to find out, no. The only kids that were there were the bridegroom's nieces and nephews. Even though my child is legal drinking age, because it was an open bar, and unfortunately the only second cousin to my husband's cousin that is of age, because the next one is my sister-in-law's daughter, who's only 18, and here in Canada, 19 is the legal drinking age. But no, they wanted just their nieces and nephews and, cousins, spouses, aunts, uncles, and parents kind of thing. And then some very, 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 very close-knit friends. So, for those who know me, I'm in Hamilton, Ontario. So, we're going to start the map down there. I got to kind of move the map around so I know where I'm going and I can tell you everything that went on. Our son has to be at work for 2 a.m. on Friday mornings, so we took our son to work. From there, we drove about 7 minutes to my husband's bank, got out money because it was pay week, then went over to the gas station, got gas, and then went across the road to McDonald's because he hadn't eaten yet because he went in early the day before and got home early, and we both went to bed pretty quickly and slept to about midnight. I slept to about midnight, and then my husband was up shortly after me, and like I said, we had to have our son at work for 2. So him and I did not eat dinner. So then we went over to McDonald's, grabbed up, sat in the parking lot, had something to eat. By this time, it's 2:30 Eastern time, because that's the time zone I am. So you guys kind of, if you're in the States, you know what the time is. We leave Hamilton. It is dark as dark could be out. For a very long time, we didn't even see the moon. I'm going to get to that in a moment. We get driving. We were hoping once we got near Toronto, we could have taken the 407 across to Barrie because it would have cut out a significant amount of our drive. We would have missed the QE, the 403, and whatever other 400 series highway we were going to be on, and we would have just taken the 407. No, it was under construction and it was closed Friday morning. So we could not do that. We had to up and around a couple different major highways, and traffic wasn't too bad. There was a bit of traffic, but it wasn't bad. We get on the other side of Toronto. We go by Vaughan, which is where Canada's Wonderland is. And then from there, we go through the highway through Barrie, and then we're on the other side of Barrie. Okay. So I'm going to enlarge the map here a little so I can see where I'm at and where we're heading so I don't get totally lost on instructions as to how our trip went. Well, to start off with, we were up the highway. By this point, we made I think we did one stop in Barrie area because we have what's called en routes, and they're on the highway. Truckers can stop at them, fuel and up like the gas station. So it's a pretty big gas station at all our en route stops, and they do have diesel. Plus, there's like public washrooms indoors and Tim Hortons and a few other restaurants, so you can grab something to eat, whatever kind of thing. So we did make a stop at the one en route, and then we continued up the highway. And at this point, we are on Highway 400. I had just checked to see which highway we were on. So we are on Highway 400. And we're driving along, driving along. With at one point from the 400, we are then on the Trans Canada Highway. Now, by the time we got on the Trans Canada Highway, I'm thinking it was probably around the 4 a.m. mark. Yeah, I'm thinking we were on the Trans Canada. Yeah, it had to been around 4 in the morning. Now, at this point, it's still quite dark out. We've got our GPS in the truck going, and we can see, so there's water on each side of us. And literally, the Trans Canada Highway, other than the roads and the traffic, if there is any, the only thing you see is 3/4 of the scenery is water. 3/4 of the scenery, or 1/3, sorry, of the scenery is water. 1/3 of the scenery is trees upon trees upon trees upon trees, and 1/3 of the scenery is rocks. And I mean big boulder rocks that they've drilled into, dynamited them to build the highway. Okay, so beautiful trip, dark as dark could be. Pretty much by the time we're on Trans Canada Highway, dead. There wasn't really a whole lot of vehicles. We finally are getting a little bit closer to Sudbury, which my husband thinks he was in Sudbury once as a child. I know I've never been up this way. Never. Okay. We're in this construction zone. It is about, actually, before we got in the construction zone, I started to notice the moon. Now, I've noticed there's always this little star that sits just below the moon. At least I thought it was a star. It was kind of small, barely twinkled, tell it was tiny, the whole 9 yards. I always thought this one star was somewhat close to the moon. And no, this so-called star that I thought it was much bigger than normal and very, very bright. And of course, there's nowhere along Trans Canada Highway to really pull over so my husband can get out, stretch his legs, and look at what it is I'm seeing as a passenger, because it was on the right of us. As we're listening to the radio, come to find out that so-called star was Venus. I actually got to see Venus. Not obviously, Venus up close, but I now know that was Venus. And it's oh my goodness, it's close as it's been to Earth, I think, in a significant amount of time. So I got to see that. I thought, oh my God, that is so cool. So that was experience 1 on Trans Canada Highway. Experience 2, we're driving along. Out of my peripheral, on my right side, I see something that I could probably not get my arms around. It was black and it was very round. And I'm telling my husband I'm seeing something. And I'm like, I think, I could be wrong, because by the time I turned my head, it was gone. I saw the trees move for a second and it was gone. So I looked at my husband. I'm like, I think I just saw a black bear. Not a very big one, maybe a couple years old, but I'm almost certain I've seen a black bear. Now, all along this drive, at one point we see an electrical sign, digital sign on the highway saying, watch out for moose, especially at night. And then a little while later, we seen another digital sign that told us to watch out for deer. Now, our yellow signs that are shaped kind of like this, whatever, though we've seen all kind of ones with a deer picture on them, but no moose, no bear signs. Okay. Around 6 a.m. So this is about a half an hour later after seeing the bear that I'm pretty sure I saw. We've got this idiot on our butt, and we are in construction zone. Normally the highway's 2 lanes. We're at 1 because of the other lane is blocked with pylons. And my husband caught out of his peripheral something that caught his eye in the construction zone area, like on the construction lane, because it was the inner lane, the left lane that was under construction. And I guess the vehicle behind us must have seen it because he did back off a little bit. And next thing you notice, we noticed this friggin' moose in front of my quarter panel. So the passenger side of the front of the truck. And it was like, oh my God, my husband had to slam on the brakes. I think we were this far from hitting it. And had that truck not slowed down when he did, would have rammed us. And that would have been the end of our trip. So in one day, I got to see Venus, a black bear, I'm pretty sure of, and a moose. That's fine. As we're going up Trans-Canada Highway, it's finally starting to get a little daylight out. And before we know it, we're in just outside of Sudbury. Now, Sudbury is a pretty big city. I think about 2-3 minutes before we got to that point, traffic did start to pick up a little bit. A lot of trucks, like, oh my God, a lot of trucks on this highway. A lot. And then we had to kind of veer to the left. And by this time, it was starting to get daylight. And then we drove and we drove and we drove. And then before we knew it, we were in Blind River. That's where our destination was. We got to the motel, which was right there on the highway, Trans-Canada Highway, at 9:30 in the morning, because our reservation confirmation notice did not tell us checkout time. It did not tell us check-in time. None of that stuff. More or less, who's the name under, how many beds, how many days, so on and so forth. And that was about it. It told me. So we did arrive. We paid. And because we were paying cash, we didn't have to put down a deposit or anything. And they told us they'll come back around 10:30, 11, because checkout was actually 11. And come back around 10:30-ish. And once the current occupants were out and they got the room clean, we could get it a little early because check-in wasn't actually till 2 a.m. But they could see on our faces we were just exhausted by this point. Like, you figure we got there at 9:30, so we'd been on the road for 7 hours. Now, mind you, 4.5 of it at least was in the dark. So it was slow going. So anyways, we went for a drive. We found where the reception was supposed to be the next night. We found this little municipality building where you go pay your property taxes and, dog licensing and all that kind of stuff at, and a little boat launch and some nice little docks and stuff. So we parked there. Hubby had a quick little snooze in the truck. Then went and got the motel room. We didn't do a whole lot Friday. And then the guys that were in the room right beside us, they left Saturday morning. And then the room was empty. We didn't know if they were coming back or not. And then I finally did see the ladies in there cleaning. And come to find out, our sister, my husband's sister, so my sister-in-law was staying at the same hotel as us. She didn't also know what room they were in, her and her boyfriend. And because you got our room, the empty room, the wall in between. Right here is the head of our bed. The door's right here, kind of thing. And then you got the wall again dividing our rooms, and then the door right here for the other room. So I was hoping the head of her bed was, like our room was flipped and our heads of our beds were up against the same wall. Because I was going to sit there all night long and do this. Nope, their room was laid out totally different. That was their bathroom on the other side of the wall. And I thought, darn. But I had a great time at the reception. We both left about 9 o'clock, 9:30 the next morning. We came back home. The drive took about an hour less, more traffic, but it was all daytime driving. They then continued up the road on the Trans-Canada Highway all the way up to Sault Ste. Marie. And at one point, Sault Ste. Marie, you can see the U.S. because the border on the map I'm looking at is right there. So anyways, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. I've got live bingo starting in, 4 minutes. So if you want to come join us, please do. But I hope you guys enjoyed our road trip. Coming home, it wasn't as entertaining. Like I said, there was traffic. But all in all, it wasn't bad. Other than us and my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, we were the only families at that motel. All the rest were either at Airbnb, which was the mother and father of the groom, and the other 2 brothers and the niece and nephew, they were all at the Airbnb, which was about 40 minutes away from town. And then all the other aunts and uncles and cousins were at another motel, I think 5 or 6 minutes up the road further out than we were. So we had a great time. Not a whole lot in town to really do or see. It's a very, very tiny town, but we enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed my storytelling. I will see you guys all later. Hopefully, if you can, you'll make it over to bingo. Bye for now.